Welcome to the Golden Line Training Podcast, everybody. I'm your host, Coach Ricky Kopp. I'm here with the founder and owner of Golden Line Training, Coach Matt Bryant. And we're going to kind of talk about some things today. We're going to take some deep dives into what we're seeing in the fitness industry today, and specifically rabbit holes. So Coach Matt's going to speak a little bit more on that. But first off, just wanted to welcome Coach Matt here. How's it going, man?
It's going great, brother. Thank you, my friend. I'm so glad you're doing this, Rick. And I was excited to hop on. And today's a really interesting one because it's like we don't have an agenda other than talking about rabbit holes. And when I say rabbit holes, there's a lot of different definitions. There's a lot of things to think about. I love rabbit holes. I love going down rabbit holes. I love going deep into things. I love, creating journeys and knowledge and experience. But rabbit holes can be very confusing. They can also put people in maybe a position they don't want to be in, right? But the thing about rabbit holes is like that is one way to accelerate growth if you do it in a good controlled fashion. And what I mean by rabbit holes, it's like the rabbit hole of nutrition, the rabbit hole of program design, the rabbit hole of assessment, the rabbit hole of group training, the rabbit hole of individual training, the rabbit hole of all these different things that come in with fitness. Because there's so many blanket statements or surface statements. And most people get caught in those surface statements, or they get caught in those blanket statements, and they live there their entire career of fitness. And I guess what I'm saying is like, what we're going to talk about today in terms of rabbit holes is an exhilarating journey of learning and growth and going deeply into things that are useful, that can show you and teach you how to do things you didn't even know you could do. And those are the type of rabbit holes that I absolutely love. And that's why I love so much working with everybody, individually or one-on-one coaching. Because if you're willing to sort of step into the portal or into the rabbit hole and look kind of down the dark hole and start going down that, you'll realize and learn so much about yourself. And I truly believe that's where all the good growth is and all the accelerated growth is and all those things. So, there's a lot of things you have to be careful in down that road as well. You can't get greedy or arrogant or impatient. Stubbornness will lead you down the wrong hole. But that's what we do with people. We help people, we guide them down their individual rabbit hole of nutrition, lifestyle, fitness, program design, all that stuff. So I love a good rabbit hole, and that's what we do at the athlete camps too. We go way down the rabbit hole. And so we'll see what comes from the conversation today, Rick, because there's so much that we could go down with this, and we'll just see what comes from it. My main thing is that with social media and people putting workouts out for people to buy and then for them to just do workouts, we see a lot of blanket statements. We see a lot of people who don't look the same, who are not the same, who have a completely different life, who have different stress, who have different nutrition, who grew up in different areas of the world, who have different belief systems, who have different thoughts, who have different ways of processing emotions and also processing stress and processing all these different things, all doing the same thing. And whether that's good or bad, there's no answer to that. It's just sort of what you want to do. And what I want to make sure that we get across is that the rabbit holes are deep, my friends. Like, I love the depth that we can go into of all these topics. And create that individual journey for people to really go down the rabbit hole. Those are the people we love to work with that, might, it's not even being fed up. It's not even like being upset with what they're doing. It's not any of that. Like some people just have that innate, like, I know there's more, but I'm not sure where to get it. I'm not sure how to get it. I'm not sure what questions to ask. I'm not sure who to work with. I'm not sure what to do. And I just want to let people know, because I see it a lot when I travel and do athlete camps, or I see they didn't even know that that type of information was available. And it is available. And those are the type of people that we work with, that know that there's more, that know that there's more than just A, B1, B2, and C. Know that there's more than program design. Know that there's more than assessment. And they're willing to do some self-observation and really look deeply at what they're doing, so that they can, achieve the goals they want to achieve, so that they can line up their actions with their highest values, all the basic stuff, the old school stuff that,
Mm-hmm.
you learn in life coaching 101 or things like that. Um, so I'm really excited to just have this conversation and see where it goes, Rick.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's the baseline of what Golden Line training is education, and that's kind of where we're going with this. It's like, you can get into something, whether it be, a different fitness modality, CrossFit, nutrition, but your motivation is always high at first, but then that motivation is going to ebb and flow. And understanding, to me, is what I've learned is really what keeps you going, and having, protocols in your back pocket where you get to the point where you start to understand why you feel the way you feel, or why you're off this day, that day, and what you need to do to get yourself back to where you want to be to really start, hammering out your goals. But, you know, uh, like I said, education is what we do. And the athlete camp is where a lot of folks see firsthand what that is all about, because it's like going to school. Going to these athlete camps is like, sitting, listening to these lectures, taking inventory of your life, what you're doing some training, and then looking at that, having a coach go over what they're seeing, and then you start to understand more. And that really, really changes the game when it comes to, your training, your nutrition, and all these sorts of lifestyle habits that you're learning along the way. But just before we kind of get into the subject matter here, you spoke on, these athlete camps. We just had two this past month. Do you want to kind of recap that? Some takeaways. Every athlete camp is different, I know. So these were some really good ones, it looked like. So give us a little recap on how those went.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I loved all that stuff you said too, Rick. That was like pretty spot on with what we're looking at and what we're trying to help people notice, right? Um, so yeah, the athlete camps were incredible. We were over at Torrance Training Lab in California with Jamie Hagia. Jamie Hagia came and did the camp, and had a lot of really, really good things to say. She's been in the industry for a long time. She's been competing for a long time, and she's a great coach, she's a great person. I love Jamie, and she's excited. She's coming on. I'm working with her individually on her journey this year, and we're going down all the rabbit holes. And she's so excited about that, because she's such a talented human being, and I see that a lot in the CrossFit world. We have all these incredibly talented human beings that I feel like sometimes might not actually be reaching their full potential, because they either, sometimes we get stubborn in what we're doing, or we're not open to looking a little bit deeper into certain things. And I always say this, but I've just been super blessed to have a lot of really good mentors and be sort of little bit of a psychopath in terms of kind of continuing to learn and going deep down rabbit holes. I love it. I'll go as far as I need to go to help people as much as I can. And I keep going, and I love to keep going. And but I've also been super blessed to work with thousands and thousands of athletes over the years, and learn from every single person. So at that camp, it was fun to have her. We had Julie Cook, Cass, Haley. We had some people from Mexico. We had people from all over the place come and listen, um, and get really excited and take the information immediately back to what they're doing, and then have access to us to ask questions or see what's going on. And we were also just over on the East Coast at CrossFit Explode in Pennsylvania. Had a big group of people there. We do cap these things around like 16 to 20 people, depending on who's going to be there, because we want everybody to have an individual experience. It's not about just throwing down together. We get to throw down together and it's really fun, but we want everybody to have an individual experience. I literally will go through every single athlete and give them individual feedback based on everything that we see. And so there's a lot of takeaways and things from that. But a lot of those athletes were already working with Greg. A lot of those athletes were already working with me, and they'd never heard 2 days in a row of over 8 hours of just whatever you want to call it. I'm not even going to call it knowledge. Like, it's just my philosophy, Golden Line Training's philosophy, the philosophy that's evolved over 16 years of coaching into everything that we're looking at that matters. And what we do is blanket statements are a great place to start. There's a lot of blanket statements with nutrition. There's a lot of blanket statements with program design. There's a lot of things that just sort of work, right? Like for maybe everybody. That's a great place to get started and go. But when you get those blanket statements, you've done those blanket statements, you've followed the workouts posted online that you pay some money for, that are written by someone that doesn't know you, that has never known you and may never know you. And they're just interesting principles, right? Which is great. That's good for some people, depending on what their goals are. But if you want to do more, or you want to stop guessing, or you want to find out exactly what you should or shouldn't be doing in terms of nutrition, sleep, stress, managing your volume and the load of work compared to what you're doing in your life, all of those things, those are the rabbit holes that we go down, and we love to go down with people. And so we got to do that with people that are already working with Greg and already working with me. And when they come out, the people that are already working with us are like, it makes so much sense now,
Yep.
which is great, because exactly what you were saying, Rick, it's like, it's easy to have that honeymoon phase of excitement and commitment. And it's easy to have even the lighthouse, where it's like, I know I'm going for this and that's what I want to achieve, and I'm always looking at that lighthouse and it's pulling me through. But what if you really understand why you're doing what you're doing? What if you really understand exactly what you need, right? What if you are looking at all of those rabbit holes? What if you're looking at the immune system response to certain foods or chemicals that you're putting in your body, so that you can clean up drags, so that you can use all that energy to expand your stress container and handle more training? What if it's
Right.
available? It's there. We can do that, and we do that with everybody that we work with, and it's super exciting. And it just, as far as down the rabbit hole as you want to go, we'll go. And I haven't met many people that want to go further down the rabbit hole than we already have knowledge to do. But if we get those people, like, I'll go with you. I promise.
Right.
So it was incredible. The athlete camps were really good. We got one coming up December 2nd and 3rd in Seguin, Texas, at T3 at Clay Ferris's gym. He went to semifinals last year. He's one of our guys. He's a great dude. They're going team this year. They got a sick team that they're putting
That's
together.
gonna be scary.
It's going to be scary. It's going to be fun. They're all going to be at the camp. Abby Dommett, games athlete's going to be at the camp. Traven Benton's going to come down and be at the camp. We've got people flying in that are going to be at the camp. And so we've got a lot of golden liners already. And we definitely have a couple spots open for non-golden liners that want to hear about what we're doing, why we're doing it, and what we're really all about. So, and we go down, we have the tangents, we have the rabbit holes in those things. So they're super, super fun. Ricky Kopp's going to be there too, my friends. So
Let's go.
yep, it's going to be fun. So
I'm super excited about that.
yeah, so it's going
Love
to
a good athlete camp, and this is going to be it's just a great atmosphere. Clay's got a great gym. It's like old school CrossFit. Like you go in there, you're just like,
oh
CrossFit. This
man.
is like, it's so like, it's just kind of takes you to like the glory days of CrossFit. But
It,
just a great gym, great people.
it's like a ranch, it's like you're just once you enter through the doors of that tiger complex, you're just like it's like you're locked in. It's like, okay, we have all this room to do whatever we want for fitness
Yeah.
testing and knowledge and experience. It's quiet, and it's such a
Yeah,
good atmosphere.
secluded, and it's just you and your the athletes, your friends, and just good old fashioned fitness. So it's
Yeah,
great.
it's so good. It's so good. So I don't know if I answered your question there, Ricky.
Yeah, yeah, for
But
sure.
yeah, the camps were great. Rabbit holes. Uh, excited about some new people coming on into the individual work. And I will just say, individual work isn't necessarily for everyone. It really is for the people that want to go down those rabbit holes, that are interested in knowing more, that are interested in like really pushing their limits and not wasting time just doing workouts, right?
Right.
Not that those workouts might not help, but we're going to look at everything and go down the rabbit hole. And, uh, you know, there's something that I talk about a lot, and this is a huge rabbit hole. And I love this rabbit hole, but it's sometimes it's kind of hard to hear, and that's the thing that, um, I've always told myself as a coach, like I can't sugarcoat or hold back the truth of what I see. You can agree with me or not agree with me, but I'm going to go. I gotta make sure the number one thing as a coach is that you do no harm, right? That's the number one thing. You learn this in the National Academy of Sports Medicine. You learn this in the CSCS. You learn this in every single personal training thing you've ever done. The number one thing that you do is no harm. So um, just giving people random stuff with a lot of intensity or a lot of volume, or just tossing it out in the cosmos with uh, no education, or no here's how you handle this, or here's the intensity, or here's a tempo and a rest period to limit your volume or limit your intensity that you can go in, because you're going to go hard tomorrow, and we want you to go hard tomorrow, not today. In that, we want you to go hard but not all the way, because you're maxing out tomorrow, or you're doing lactic endurance tomorrow. Every day plays on itself. Every week plays on that week before. It's beautiful because it just keeps getting built. And really the idea around true individual design or true program design for someone is that you're building the ship as you sail it. I love cycles. I love 4-week ideas and 6-week ideas and 1-year plans and all that. But if you get a paper with a month of training that has great progressions and great protocols. And, there's people that are great at thrusters and could do thrusters every day. And there's people that when they do thrusters, it makes them so tired and drained that there's no way they can do anything afterwards. Like everybody's so completely different. So following something that everybody's doing, everyone's going to have a completely different experience, right? For some people, they might get lucky and it might work, but also life is way too messy. Like I have people communicating with me. They're going on retreat for 3 days. They want to push before they go, or someone's going with their family for a vacation for a week and they only have access to body weight and a dumbbell and a kettlebell and a jump rope. And I want to maximize that time that they have. And we come up with the
Mm-hmm.
appropriate time. They've got 30 minutes a day, or they got 45 minutes a day, or they got 2 hours on Tuesday and they got 3 hours on Friday. But if you just do a templated program, you're working around the program. The program's not working with you or being built for you. And that it never works, because you work around 1 or 2 days, then you've lost the effect of all those progressions working appropriately with you. And then you just try to stay up, or you try to stay focused, or you try to stay on it, right? So, that's a whole other rabbit hole to go down in terms of
Yep.
uh, cycles. Do they work or don't they work?
Yeah, for sure. This 9 times out of 10, people will come to us, starting out, and they'll ask, what's this cycle, or are we doing percentage work? And it's like, circling back to blanket statements, that's kind of where that comes from, is because, especially in the CrossFit training world, everything is templated. And that is sort of the basis around a lot of programs. It's like there's a template and you just go off of your percentage and you follow this 4 6 week cycle or whatever have you. And that just sort of became the norm. But I wanted to circle back to just blanket statements in general, because I think blanket statements and touching on things surface level can have a benefit in some capacity, where you might have somebody who is starting from zero. They don't have a healthy lifestyle. They don't move. They don't eat whole foods. So seeing a blanket statement, say, on social media, might be a good wake up call to maybe start prioritizing movement every day, prioritizing sunlight in the morning, prioritizing sleep, prioritizing eating whole foods. But at some point, and we know this because a lot of these folks have come to us, at some point there is diminishing returns, where that is only going to get you so far, because everybody is so unique, and you are not going to progress to your innate genetic potential off of blanket statements for everybody, because you are different. Your body is different. Your life is different. There is not one person out there who is you. So I think that is kind of a scary thing in the fitness industry, that there is so many people out there that can just create an account, call themselves a fitness influencer, what have you, say something, and people will eat it up. And it is a little bit scary, because you don't really need to have any checks and balances behind what you say. You don't have to really be accountable for anything. No, you know, I think you're a great example, Coach Matt. Here, you've got so many certifications that you don't even advertise. I'll say it for you, but Coach Matt's got a shit ton of certifications, and he's done a lot of education, and he doesn't stop, just like we said. So if you're coming to us, you have somebody like Coach Matt as a resource, who's done all of the research basically for all of us that he's working with. So, and then, just kind of wanted to talk about that a little bit, and what it's like to, go down the rabbit holes with say a coach. So like for us, I think we take steps and we introduce one rabbit hole at a time. We don't want to really overwhelm anybody, but we get on these one-on-one calls with our athletes, and I think we'll start off with some low-hanging fruit, and then we'll kind of just progress. So talk a little bit about what that looks like, and how you've seen it change people's perspectives and how they actually start moving the needle where they have felt stuck in the past.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's that's really good stuff right there. And uh, remind me, I do want to come back to cycles, or maybe let's just do a whole podcast on cycles and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, we definitely could.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, what I see is, there are a lot of really good blanket statements, and the ones that are the best are sort of the ones that people skip over. Like drinking 60% of your body weight in ounces per day of water. You know, it's lemon water first thing in the morning. There's a rabbit hole about that in terms of like, do lemons are lemons or limes, or are those even, do they cause an immune response? Like that's a whole rabbit hole. But in terms of blanket statements, um, we get into there's so many blanket statements, and it is a good place for people to start. It's a good people to do a lot of trial and error. And what I see is people will follow blanket statements or spoon-fed information. Like, as much as I love, I absolutely love the CrossFit methodology and all of that stuff, but when your training age is so low and you haven't ever done this type of work, or you haven't done a lot of fitness, or you haven't done that, blanket statements are the entry level. That's all you got. You start looking, you start reading, you start looking at YouTube, you start looking at Instagram, you do all this stuff. Uh, but what I see is a lot of people just sort of putting all these different blanket statements together and just doing a lot of trial and error and guessing. Well, trial and error is like the saying that I always say. It's, you can either go to your knees or be brought to your knees. We usually get people that have been brought to their knees about 50 to 100 times. Those are the people that start working with us. And part of my goal in this podcast, or just even being a little bit more visible, would be like, what if people went to their knees and they started doing what they needed to be doing, and they started, not guessing and not doing the trial and error, and they had some guidance, and they went to their knees before they got brought to their knees. That would be great. I'd love to see that. There'd be less injuries. CrossFit would look better on paper. People would be like, they'd be like, I love CrossFit. I want it to succeed. I want it to grow into a professional sport. I want athletes to be paid. It's the hardest sport in the world. And it's part of the reason, I want people to go to their knees and start doing, things that are going to keep them healthy, create longevity, and let them see their full innate genetic potential, and let the top athletes actually be better than they are already. Because I think a lot of top athletes are really, really good from God-given ability and talent and hard work. But I think there's so much more that a lot of people could be doing, and they're not doing it, you know? Um, and I want that to happen because that's only going to help CrossFit grow. It's only going to help people um, feel better, live a better life, be happy, reach their goals, do all those things, right? So blanket statements are a really good place to go, but you run into a brick wall and you don't know where to go next, right? So what we help people do is find a way to get through that wall and find a way to do that. And a lot of times, you know, it's like at some point, you know, trust me, this is not a sales pitch. Like, some of the things people need to do when they show up at our doorstep in the fetal position with like everything's destroyed and they have no, vital reserve to even accomplish all the volume they're trying to do, because more is always better. Or if I'm working hard, I'm doing the right thing. Or uh, or like, well, nutrition's not cool, or like, well, everybody's drinking bangs before the workout, or all these different things that are, it's not healthy. And
Right.
people get brought to their knees, and so, I'll just, we sort of sit back and get a lot of people that broken CrossFitters come to us to get fixed up and move in the right direction. It, very seldom do I get people like Abby Dommett, who wasn't totally broken and comes in the door and it's like, let's go, right? Or even like guys like Jeremy Kane, who just made pro in he was like 6 months into CrossFit when I got to start working with him,
Little
you
baby.
know, little baby, totally. And so, people have to go out, they have to figure things out, they got to use these blanket statements, and they got to start playing around. I wish they'd come in a lot sooner and do it now, because there's a massive accelerated growth that could happen through that younger training age era, and making sure you get muscle endurance and structural stability and all the things that are going to create longevity for you. But people just want to do what's neat and cool and sexy on the internet. It's um, uh, I'm worried about it, to be honest. I want people to succeed. I want everybody to see their innate genetic potential. Uh, but you can only get so far with blanket statements.
For sure. Yeah. And I can speak as somebody who kind of thrived off of the surface level of all of this for a very long time. I got into CrossFit and got addicted really quick. Saw results very fast, but then at some point, you know, you start to get a little bit frustrated just because you're like, I'm doing everything that they say is what you're supposed to do, and I'm not getting anywhere, and I don't feel good. That was kind of where I was at, and just kind of felt like you're just running yourself into a brick wall every day. And I believe that there's a double-edged sword here with the romanticization of suffering. You know, suffering is, there's a way to go about it to explain to people that um, just simply putting yourself into a position where you're just, you're waking up at 5 a.m. and you're sweating, you're putting yourself through pain and then going about the rest of your day, and then thinking that that's going to make a difference and make you reach your goals and feel good, where you kind of have to take a step back and say, hey, like, this is actually doing you more harm than it is good. And you kind of have to look under the hood, take inventory of your life, and realize that it doesn't have to be all suffering. You can clean up things, you can get rid of some drag. You can, it could be as simple as, taking a food sensitivity test, removing some of these foods from your diet that create that drag. Now all of a sudden you have more energy to do these things, and you feel better doing it, and you don't have to, quote unquote, suffer to see results. And that's another blanket statement here. Is just like suffering equals results. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, that's really, really good stuff. And I will say, I'm not bashing any systems or anything. Like a 1 hour class for someone is perfect if that's what fits into their lifestyle and they don't have any like real specific goals to get, go beyond that. It's a beautiful place to be. It's incredible. Um, and you know what I always say Listen, if you have lofty goals, if you want to see your innate genetic potential in the sport of CrossFit, if you want to like really go for it, or see what you're made of, compete at a high level, or even just compete and get better from where you were. That's why I love this sport so much. Is it's innate genetic potential. It's your genetic potential, not anybody else's. That's a great goal to have, is to see my full innate genetic potential. Might be quarterfinals, you know, that's it. Like, genetically speaking, past injuries, things like that, that could be the peak, the pinnacle, or you want to try to make semifinals. I was the kind of guy that wanted to make regionals back in the day. Bum ankle, 6'2", super aerobic and not powerful. Like, that was my edge. Like, I knew I had to do everything perfectly to even consider it. Right. And that included pacing. Like, I always kid around about praying in the sport of CrossFit, like praying like that the right workouts come out, that you don't get any no reps and all that stuff.
Yeah.
All that stuff really matters. But here's the deal: if you want to chase that, then you're going to have to do a lot.
Right.
You are going to have to do a lot. And the blanket statement's not wrong, but there's a huge portion of information that's missing. And you have to be able to create space or expand your container of the amount that you can handle. I want to give everything to you. I want to give way more than you can handle. I want to give as much as I can possibly give to you to reach your goals, but you have to earn it. And I'm not going to make your container explode and expand and hurt your shoulder or hurt your knee or make you overtrained and tired and do that and have you run into another brick wall or get brought to your knees because you didn't earn it. If you dial in your nutrition, if you do all the small things, if you get sunshine, do the right supplements, if you make sure you're not eating inflammatory foods and you're chewing your food and you're making your food and your relationship with your food, and you're lowering your stress and constantly working on hard truths in your life to create more space so that you can handle more stress in the gym, I'll give you everything and more, because I need you hanging on by a thread. That's where you're gonna grow. But I'm not gonna shoot you off the edge. It's counterproductive. And the suffering statement is very interesting. And I don't want to sound like a Debbie Downer, but that's where most people hide. They love hiding and suffering. It's so they don't have to look at this stuff, but that self-observation and dialing things in, and we know exactly what you need to look at to expand your container so you can handle more training. And you're gonna suffer, and it's gonna be hard, right?
Sure.
Man, Haley Sparks is a great example. She came in both shoulders jacked up, knees jacked up, collegiate high level long distance runner, ran in Spain, all of these different things, and then got into CrossFit. And mechanically speaking, it was very difficult for her to use her cyclical mentality, right?
Yeah. Monostructural.
She
Yeah.
can run for days. That's a completely different thing. Like, that's where cycles work. Running, snatch and clean and jerk. When there's not more than 25 different things you have to get good at, a cycle could work,
Yeah.
right? But there's just too many different things and too many mechanical inefficiencies and mechanical difficulties that people run into to have cycles work for CrossFit. I'm sorry, not possible. We'll talk more about that some other time. That's a cool topic. But
Yeah.
so she came in and I don't want to throw Haley under the bus. She wasn't sleeping. Nutrition was really rough. You know, a lot of people come in and they'll have like eating disorders or things that they've been working through that they need some coaching on, and they need to like slow drip the protein coming back in, or slow drip that, and you got to meet them there and do that and build it for them. And man, she is humming. She was in first place in the scale division for TFX after the first week. She's clean and jerking, she's snatching, she's doing everything without pain now. And trust me, she had to earn it, but she
Yeah.
did it, and she stayed with it, and she's really going for it. And it's so exciting. And
Yeah.
it's so much fun. And this is like, I love working with people that are on the edge. I love people that are like close to making the games. I love people that are close to making semifinals. I love people that are close to making quarterfinals, because I guarantee there's probably simple lifestyle things that we could change and you'd probably get in there.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Training is the easy part. No one comes to us and they're like, you give them training and they just don't do it.
No.
Everybody's
Yeah.
consistent. Everybody's training hard. Everybody
Yeah.
works hard. Everybody. Right? So where do you make the
Absolutely.
differences, right? You have to make the differences in your lifestyle. You have to go down the rabbit holes. You have to go deep into that stuff. And if you want to see what your innate genetic potential is, you got to go that route. Or be really honest and be really truthful about how far you want to go, and match all that stuff with your life. And that is also who I love working with, is people that can be honest and be like, I'm good. I'm going to go out Friday night. Like, I'm good. But
At least
being
we know.
truthful and honest about it, right? Like, I have no judgment. I want to work with people that are honest and truthful and know what they want. And they're like, well, I want to see how I do, and I want to, I really want to see where I can go, but I'm not willing to sacrifice this, or this. And so you keep doing it, totally. But let's do all the other things that we can do around that stuff to let you see how far you want to go. So, and that's the misconception, is like, we don't just work with elite athletes. We don't even work with just CrossFitters. We work with people that want deep rabbit hole health. you know
Absolutely. Yeah.
and so
Yeah.
it's exciting stuff. I can talk about it forever. You can hear it in my voice. I get excited about it. But the lower the training age, that's when blanket statements can sort of work, because you've never done it before. You could do anything. You could do a deadlift, go shovel rocks for 2 weeks, and come back and you're going to PR your deadlift, like, because you've never done it before, right?
Right. Right.
So blanket statements can work there. If you have good structure and you have good stuff and you're willing to go to your knees before you get brought to your knees, you can accelerate the process through that and do stuff that'll set you up for success down the road. And that's also really exciting as well.
Definitely. Yeah. I think the story of Haley Sparks is one that, like, we can't not talk about, because I remember seeing it too. Like, when I first met her, just, riddled with injuries, just stuck. And that's kind of what we're talking about. There's a lot of people that get to that point, and it's, do you want to break through? Do you want to really fast track to your goals? Do you want to peek under the hood, take inventory, do all these things? And when you have somebody like Haley, who is just very open-minded, I could tell she was listening to everything that you were saying. Whatever you told her she needed to do, she was going to do it. And it's just like you said, everybody that comes on, personally, and I've seen with your clients, Greg's clients, they're all hard workers. Not something we have to do. So, like, I think even with this podcast, you're never going to hear us talking about motivation or win the day, or all these kind of things, because a lot of people that come to us are already in that space. Not a problem. So rabbit holes is the next step. Motivation's good. And people understand too, motivation ebbs and flows, but they're disciplined. So discipline is there. So understanding and having protocols that you have in your back pocket. That's the biggest thing for me, is having just protocols just ready for, okay, I'm feeling this way. And of course, I have you, Coach Matt, to check in and say, hey, this is how I'm feeling. And you'll probably tell me to do something. We might switch up training a little bit. We might try something out with nutrition, or it could be just something very, very simple. Like, I haven't been sleeping great. Okay, let's fix that. And then, we don't have to, red line at the gym while I'm going through that. I'm going to prioritize recovery. I'm going to prioritize fulfillment in life, and training will come. That's fine. It's not going anywhere. Um, so that just kind of goes hand in hand with like the thing that we were saying on the last podcast, is there's so much more to training than just training. So, and also, like you were saying, we're not going to shoot anybody off of the edge and really just, hurt them, make them have a bad relationship with fitness, nutrition. And I think that is where, like, the fitness industry is it takes people, and it's a little bit unfortunate, because then it creates a bad relationship. You look at working out as punishment for you going out and, eating like a slob and having 30 beers this past weekend. So you have to punish yourself with, a workout, and just like make yourself feel even more worse, in my opinion. So, so the rabbit holes are the next step. And, you know, uh, would like to hear what you would, how you would go about an athlete that comes to you, um, specifically say, if we're talking supplements or quote unquote biohacks, we're strong believers of, you have to earn that. We're not going to talk to you about supplements if your sleep and your nutrition is not taken care of. I think the blanket statements that should be looked at more, but people ignore, are the simple things like waking up and having 16 to 24 ounces of water, lemon water with sea salt, or chewing your food. That's another big one. Sunlight. So yeah, just kind of talk about that. I think it would be really interesting to hear your take on earning those things that people really think are sexy, like supplements, biohacks, etc. So
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, we sort of take an approach, and I've created this based on consistency, because like if you want to hear more about that, like I really like, come to an athlete camp. Like I go off for 2 days about all this stuff. And but like, to me, one thing that is incredibly important about all of it is, and you hear this on the internet and you hear this all over the place, is consistency. But like, consistency is a lot. There's a lot more going on with consistency. I'm not going to get into it here. I get into it deeply in the athlete camp. But consistency is recognized. It's recognized by the body, and it's recognized by a lot more than just the body. And you have to get the body on your side, right? So it's like, when you're doing all these things that are not in routine, or going out, or punishing the body, and then when you kind of compile a punishment with a punishment, whether maybe you thought it was fun to you, and you thought that it was a neat and fun experience for you, which maybe it was, which you could mentally and emotionally benefit from. You just punish the shit out of your body, and then you go in and punish your body again. The relationship with the body is probably one of the most important things that an athlete, or anybody in the world, everybody's got one. Everybody's got a body. You need to have a great relationship with it. And there's so much that goes into that. But it's consistency where we start, right? So what do people come to us for, Rick? They come to us for fitness. That's how we get them in, like,
yep.
so we start with consistency in fitness. We talk about sleep, we talk about nutrition, we talk about supplements, we talk about all that stuff. but prove to me that you can be consistent with your fitness. We can create a schedule for you that fits into your lifestyle. And remember, you don't have to rest on Thursday. I don't know where that came from. That's an interesting topic. We'll get into maybe splits would be a cool topic.
Yeah.
But you can create your own rest days. So we create a schedule, we create everything, we get the right amount of volume in there, and you show us that you can be consistent. And then on your second weekly call, because we do 6 to 8 Zoom calls once a week for 6 to 8 weeks, guys. No one else is doing that. Why do we do that? Because we care, and we also want you to succeed, and we want you to understand why you're doing what you're doing, and we want you to be able to communicate with us so that you can help us build the plan with you, right? And so make sure that you're consistent with your training. Then we start talking about lifestyle. Are you sleeping consistently? Are you, doing the basic things consistently in terms of lifestyle? I'm not going to rattle off all of those right now, but sleep's a huge one. We got to start there. I don't know how many people come in and the first thing we tackle is consistency, which is easy because everybody's already doing that. So that's why it's the first thing for us, because it's easy for us to get a quick win. The second thing is sleep and lifestyle, and we'll talk about a little bit about stress. And then the third thing is and then when you can get consistent with that, and maybe it's going to take a month or two because your sleep cycles are off, or you've been abusing caffeine, or you got stress in your life, or you went through a trauma, or you did all these things. Sleep can take a while to get dialed in. So while we're doing that, then we're talking about nutrition, and we go down the rabbit hole as deeply as you want to go with nutrition in terms of, what are the blanket statements that work? We'll try those out first and make sure that we're good with those. What are the macros that are going to be appropriate for you based on what you're doing? So that matters. Like, were you tracking your food or were you not tracking your food? Like, do you know what a protein, carb, and fat is? So it starts with education, with nutrition, based on where that person is. And then we can go as deep as doing a food sensitivity test, an MRT food sensitivity test that is just fire for understanding and getting the answers of what causes inflammation in the body and what doesn't. That's not a blanket statement, right? And the reason we do that is there's a blanket statement that says turmeric or curcumin is anti-inflammatory, and Traven Benton tested red hot and has a huge inflammatory response to it. So
there we go. That's a big one.
That's a big blanket statement that's not true for everybody. So we can take the guesswork out and do that. But we start with consistency in training. We start with consistency in some lifestyle pieces, and then you prove to us that you can do nutrition really, really good. And if you're pretty good at all this stuff, we may let you waterfall into the next thing as we go, right? We get you on the multivitamin and the creatine and talk about those different things. But listen, we get you consistent on training. We get you consistent on sleep and lifestyle and sun and water and basic things. And then we get you consistent on nutrition. And then we've got clarity. We know who Ricky Kopp is now, because most people come in as like Ricky Kopp and a lot of demons, or a really loud, noisy Ricky Kopp with a lot of distractions. So if we get training dialed, we get lifestyle dialed, we get nutrition dialed, and you're still having stomach issues, you're still not recovering properly, your injuries aren't healing appropriately, then we know where to go next, right? So these basics clear the noise of life. It's like dropping a fork in a noisy restaurant. You don't even hear the fork hit the ground, right? So people have forks hitting the ground all the time, and they don't know because there's so much chaos within the physiological aspects of the systems of the body, right? So we start there, we do those basic things. Then we can start adding supplements. If you were already doing supplements, great. It's good. We can talk about those and do those. And then we can just continue down the rabbit hole as much as you want to go. We're talking timing with nutrition. We're talking all these different things. And it's a beautiful journey. And that's the rabbit hole. The one way to have success in a rabbit hole is to clean up all the noise, though. And people are living messy and noisy and difficult lives to see the truth. I was for many, many years. But man, you get a taste of an empty restaurant. Oh my gosh, man. And that's what the golden line is. You ride that, you have no noise, you have clarity, and you're doing all of this as Ricky Cop. You know, you're doing all this as Haley Sparks. You're doing all this as a talented athlete like Abby Dahmen. That is scary. You get a talented athlete like Jamie Hygia. You get a mom that wants to lose some weight and have more stress in her container for her 3 kids, right? You get a guy like Ricky Kopp who's got 2 beautiful daughters and a job and all this stuff. And it's like, what do you need? You need more room. You need more space, right?
Absolutely. Yep.
And then what do we do with space? Give you everything. I want you to have it. I want you to have as much training as you possibly can to get to the goal that you can do.
Right.
And so, you know, that's a basic idea of what that sort of looks like. And, you know, usually, you know, blanket statements sort of get people to our doorstep, you know?
Yep. Great way to put it.
And then down the rabbit hole as deep as you want to go, because listen, you don't have to do that in a month. You don't have to do that in 3 months. Sometimes it takes 6 months for someone to finally get the right type of protein and the right amount of protein. And it's your own journey, and it's beautiful because it's a one-on-one relationship with the coach, and the pace is yours, you know? If you want to go fast, let's go. I love going fast. I love a fast-paced lifestyle. I do it all the time, but I make sure that I can handle it, and I make sure that I earn it, and I make sure that I can do it. And you know what earning something makes it, Rick?
What's that?
Sustainable.
Yep. Absolutely.
You get on the golden line and stay on the golden line for an extended period of time. That's accelerated growth with consistency over time will get you where you want to go, and it'll get you there faster than any other route. And that's what I love doing with people, because it's so different for everybody.
Right.
I could keep going, Rick. I'm sorry.
No, it explains a lot of it. And it's what we're trying to articulate. And the cool thing about this is, and I've experienced this as, you know, being one of your athletes, Matt, is your goals can change. But if you tell your coach what your goals are as they're changing, or as your life changes, you work with your coach for a long time, the best thing you can do is tell your coach what you want. Don't be bashful about it. Tell us what you want. I love when people tell me what they want, because I'm like, let's go. Like, let's do this. Like, we're gonna create a plan. We're gonna tweak it along the way. The program's gonna be alive with you, but we're gonna go for it, and we're gonna get you there. And sometimes you just need that, you know, just that collaboration, and having another set of eyes, and having an accountability coach, you know, and just somebody that, you know, can take some of the guesswork out of it for you. But you know, being one of our clients is going down deep dive rabbit holes on all these areas of your life, and that's just what it is. And like you said, you know, as far as you want to take it, we'll take you there. And going to an athlete camp is a great way to see all of it at once, but you're going to get that through individualized training. The athlete camp is just a really great way to, one, be around other people and see how different it is for everybody, and two, just kind of get a better understanding of why we do what we do. So I think this is a great way to wrap it up. And going back to athlete camps, just a reminder, we do have one coming up in Seguin, Texas, at Clay Ferris's gym, T3, December 2nd and 3rd. It's going to be a great camp. A lot of Golden Line athletes here in Texas. We have a great community here, and it's just going to be a great time. So anything you'd like to add, Matt?
Yeah, we just like to invite anybody that might be a little intrigued by some of these topics and that are interested in the rabbit holes. That's what we call it, an athlete and coaches camp, because sometimes athletes don't necessarily need to know everything that's going on in the rabbit hole. They need to trust the process and trust the journey, but coaches need to know. They need to know all of it. I hold coaches at such a high standard, it's not even funny. And so come ask great questions, come see what you bring your questions. We constantly have personal trainers, we constantly have Olympic weightlifters, coaches. We have all walks of life of coaching come to this stuff, because it's way more than just program design, fitness, and nutrition. We go deep into the mental game stuff, and you do have to come to those athlete camps to get that stuff, and that's where the good stuff is, I think.
Yeah.
So I love it. I'm glad we got to talk about rabbit holes. This was just one big rabbit hole, and you can see you got to kind of go down a rabbit hole and pull yourself back sometimes. But ask us questions. Go to our website and sign up. Even if you just want to sign up to just talk to me about your journey, about your fitness journey, about your coaching journey. We've got some coaching stuff coming out soon, some online courses and stuff, but we'll keep you posted on all of that as we go. But be well, guys. Take really, really, really good care of yourselves, so you can earn life, earn your training, earn the stress, earn all that stuff, and enjoy the process along the way. There's anything else is a waste of time. So thanks, Rick, for doing this, bud.
Couldn't have said it better. And just like Matt said, we are very responsive. Love to talk to all of you. You can find us on social media at Golden Line Training, Instagram, Facebook. We're going to be putting out more of these podcasts for you guys and just having a great dialogue. So goldenlinetraining.com also is our website. So just follow us. We have a lot of content that is on the way, a lot of events on the way, a lot of material coming out. So just keep up with us. So all right. That wraps it up. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, guys.